Today we're going to whip up a beer bread recipe, super easy, will be done in less than 2 hours. We need half a cup to a quarter cup butter. This will be melted and poured on top of the bread before we put it in the oven. Quarter cup sugar, I'm using brown sugar. Half teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt, I'm using about a half teaspoon. 3 teaspoons baking soda. 3 cups sifted flour. What I did is I just put the cup in, leveled it off, and plopped it in here. And then of course, beer, the most important ingredient. We're using beer instead of water. I recommend a beer that's got some flavor to it that will add to your bread. For example, we have a peanut butter milk stout. I also recommend drinking or trying the beer before you bake the bread, because the flavor that's in the beer is going to be in your bread. And when you eat the bread, you're like, this tastes strange. No, it's not strange. It's the flavor from the beer. Once you have all of your ingredients ready to go, preheat the oven to 375. So on this one, we're gonna click bake, and we're gonna put in 375, and we're gonna push start. So it's at 120, it'll go bling, 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 bling when it hits 375, and we'll be ready to put it in. Mix the dry ingredients first. 3 cups flour, 3 teaspoons baking soda, baking powder, my apologies, half teaspoon of salt, quarter cup of sugar, we're using brown sugar, and we want to mix these all together so everything is mixed well. Get a bigger bowl. So we have it. For my first batch of beer, 12 ounces was not enough to mix this up enough. We still had flour that was not wet, so we want to make sure we have it wet because we're supposed to be able to pour this into the mold, into the baking pan, and throw it in the oven. So, there's 12 ounces. You can see what I'm saying here. There's still flour that's not wet, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Now I could be using my KitchenAid mixer, but I don't think I need to for this recipe. It's simple enough. Why dirty more dishes? But then again, my KitchenAid mixer, I could have put all this in one place. We'll see. I think this is good enough. I don't think we need it to be wet. So, it says to put it in a greased pan. We didn't grease the pan. So for greasing the pan, I suppose you could use Pam, you could spray it in there. If you had Crisco shortening, you could probably put that in there. I don't have any of those, this isn't our house, but there is butter. We do have some soft butter, so we can take the butter and grease the pan with the butter. After all, butter is fat, right? Just make sure you get a coat everywhere. Nice light coat. The pan is greased. I use a glove, keeps my fingers clean. I don't have to wash my hands all the time. Easy peasy. All right, put the dough in the pan. I want to smooth it out. Prepare for the next step. Next step, we're going to take the butter, put it in the microwave, melt it. You could also melt it in a pan. Anyway, you want the butter melted. The oven's barked at us and it's at 375, so let's go ahead. We'll pour the melted butter on top, trying to evenly spread it around. Like that. Put on our gloves, make sure we don't burn our arms or anything. Bread in the oven. Set our phone for 1 hour. Based on our 1 hour phone timer, it is time to bring the bread out of the oven. So let's do that. We've got our safety mitts on. Put it here. Close the oven. We would check the temperature of the bread. Should be at least 190 in the middle. Close enough for government work. With that, we'll turn off the stove. Put our mitts back on. See how it just slides right off? Of course, this is a non-stick pan, but also because we spread the butter on it, we greased it, as they say. Now all of a sudden, everybody wants a slice of my bread. Nothing like homemade beer bread. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Leave a note in the comments if you've tried it out and what you thought of it. And don't forget, it's not just limited to one kind of beer.